George Clooney is as gorgeous as you think he is, and he's as nice as you want him to be.
Hello there. I'm Joe Ruggiero, and welcome to my podcast, Inspired, and the people who inspire me. Well, you're in for a treat today.
Transitions are easy if I'm just moving into something I'm interested in. I get these ideas, and I just want to make them happen.
This gal has determination. She was on Hallmark. She was on the ER, Father Murphy.
I've been waiting to die my whole career. I even practiced dying.
I think you're really going to enjoy this interview. So, without further ado, Kellie Martin.
Hi, guys.
So tell me about Baywatch.
Baywatch. Ooh, I like how we're starting with Baywatch. So I was in the pilot episode of Baywatch, by the way. Not many people know this. You really have to go to IMDb and look deep into my credits in order to...
You were a kid.
I was 12.
Wow.
I was a skinny little 12-year-old. And I had to wear a bikini. I don't even know if I had a character name. I might have been Girl on Beach. And my big line was, "Could you rub suntan oil on my back?" That was my line. I'm on my belly in the scene, so I'm like laying on the sand, and I think I say, "You can take the strap off." I know. Think about that, guys.
Controversial.
Yeah, a little controversial. That was not my first thing, though. I mean, I started when I was 7, so that was deep into my career. Father Murphy was my first job. My Aunt Rhonda was a nanny for many years, and she worked for Cliff Robertson's family. She worked for Bob Newhart's family, and then she worked for Michael Landon's family. So she was a nanny to his 2 kids, Shauna and Chris. And I was 7 years old, and I used to get to go over to the very fancy Landon house and hang out with Shauna and Chris. And I think I got Shauna's hand-me-down clothes, and they were very nice. So anyway, one day I was with Shauna, and we were playing with her dolls or something. And I said, I want to be on your dad's show. And she said, okay. And at the time, I thought her dad's show was Little House on the Prairie because that's the show I watched. But I didn't understand that Little House on the Prairie had been canceled for quite a few years. And I was watching the reruns. So she said, okay. And so I expected that was what was going to happen, is I was going to be on with, Half Pint and all the gang. But when I actually got to meet Michael Landon, who was, by the way, the loveliest, nicest guy. And I even met Melissa Gilbert in my first meeting with Michael Landon, who was super nice to me, offered me a Sprite. This I will never forget. She said, "Do you want a Sprite?" And I'm like, yes. So he offered me a part on his show, Father Murphy. And we got this script, and I said to my mom, no, I don't want to do this. I want to be on Little House. And my mom's like, well, Little House isn't on anymore. And I was like, what? So I was convinced to do my little part on Father Murphy, and it was over after that. I was just hooked. I absolutely loved it. They really embraced my precociousness, and I think I learned everyone's lines in addition to my own. Oh, so yeah, I was the most precocious 7-year-old you ever wanted to meet.
And then from that point, you went on to ER?
After Father Murphy, I mostly did commercials. I mean, I think I did 50 commercials at least. Mostly they were food commercials because I guess I looked like I liked to eat. So I did brownie commercials. I did Taco Bell commercials. I mean, you name the food, I did that commercial. So that was mostly what I did. And I went to school kind of as a normal kid.
Right.
With just, here and there, I would go do my one day on a commercial. So it wasn't until I was probably 13-ish that I got onto a series where it was more of a full-time job.
Right. And you were nominated.
Yes, I was. So Life Goes On was a show. It was on in the early 90s, and it was a show about a family who had a son with Down syndrome. And so I was his sister. I was Becca Thatcher, and I had big red glasses, like big Sally Jesse Raphael glasses. And I did that show for 4 years, and mostly it was a show about this family. But the last 2 seasons, it became a show a little bit more focused on my character, Becca, and my boyfriend, Jesse, who had HIV that turned into AIDS.
Oh.
So this storyline was incredibly dramatic, as you might imagine, and it was the early 90s when we didn't know much about AIDS. So it was very groundbreaking. And both Chad Lowe played Jesse. Chad Lowe and I were both nominated for an Emmy for our performances, which was pretty cool to be 17 and nominated for an Emmy. I hate to say I peaked at 17, but maybe I did. But it was an incredible show to be a part of, and it ran for 4 years. Those people were incredibly important to me. Patti LuPone played my mom, and she's one of my dearest friends to this day. Yeah.
Now, you managed to fit in Yale.
Yes.
You're a graduate of Yale.
I did. Yes. That was hard fought. I might have to tell you guys. I decided I wanted to go where Jodie Foster went to school. I didn't know anything about Yale. Lucky for me, where Jodie Foster went to school is a very good school.
Yeah.
So from like 9th grade, I decided that's where I wanted to go. And I had a tutor on set. So I didn't go to high school. I was on set for all 4 years of high school. Lil Madare was my tutor. She's the one who got me through high school and to Yale. So I give her an enormous credit for like who I am today. So I told her I wanted to go to Yale, and she kind of made it her goal as well to get me there. I got in, but I had to defer because I was doing a show called Christie, which was a show on CBS, which ran for a season and a half or so. So I entered Yale midway through, like literally I entered in January, and it was probably 20 degrees. I'm an LA girl, and I was thrown into an old Ivy League school that was 20 degrees. And I think I was the first one to get there for that second semester.
Right.
It was a rude awakening. Let's just be honest.
But then you had to leave.
I did. So I was at Yale off and on. I did another series called Crisis Center. So I left for a little while to do Crisis Center. And then between my junior and senior year, I left to do ER. I was asked to come on to ER as a new cast member. I think it was their season 4. Maybe season 4 and 5, I think, were the seasons I was on. So they were at their height. I mean, George Clooney was a movie star by this point.
Right.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. And you worked
Sony's
with him.
loving George Clooney. It was the #1 show on television, and I had to pretty much just jump on that train, which I have to say was an honor, but it was the hardest job I've ever had.
But they killed you off.
They did kill me. And it's the first time I've ever died. I actually, I've been waiting to die my whole career. I even practiced dying. I'd be like, hey, mom, shoot me, and she'd pretend to shoot me. And I'd be like, oh. So finally, I got stabbed, and I died over 2 episodes.
Whoa.
It was a long death. I died of a pulmonary embolism, which I diagnosed because I was a med student. I knew what I had, which was also very heartbreaking. So yeah, I want to tell you guys about George Clooney, though, really quick before we leave ER. So George Clooney is as gorgeous as you think he is, and he's as nice as you want him to be. Like the loveliest person who's been an actor forever. And in between scenes, he'd go play basketball with the Grips. He's that guy. He didn't learn his lines, so he'd write his lines on the bed sheets of the patients that he was supposedly treating. He'd also write them on a clipboard. He was never without a clipboard. If you guys watch old reruns of ER, you will notice this. And all his dialogue is written on that clipboard. The greatest guy you will ever meet. So there's that. Okay, so I got killed off of ER, which was a horrible, ER was a very difficult experience for me. I did not enjoy it. It's maybe my least favorite job.
Oh.
It was just really difficult for a lot of reasons. I had just lost my sister. She died when she was 19, and I started ER a week after that. So that was horrible. I also had to say the most horrible words because I was a med student. So the one I had to say in my first episode was glomerulonephritis. Don't know if anybody here has had that, but it's not a fun word to say. So I'd have these monologues that they'd write me full of medical jargon. I did not enjoy this job. So anyway, they killed me off, and I was like, okay, I don't want to be an actress anymore. I don't like this anymore. So I decided to go back to Yale. But I had been gone long enough that I had to reapply.
Wow.
So I got into Yale twice, everybody. Twice. I had to do the application. I had to do the interviews. And I got in again so I could finish my senior year.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's why you inspire me.
Oh, thank you. It was hard. And I was married, too, when I went back. So I got married in that time as well. So I went back to college for my senior year as just a married senior. But I got straight A's because I had not, I couldn't go like do the college things that kids do anymore because I was a married lady.
You live on a farm.
I do live on a farm. I
And
live on a little
each
farm.
of the animals.
Yes, we do. So I name them, and I also like my girls name them too. So I married a guy from Montana who I met at Yale. There's no way we would have met had we not gone to college together because we come from very, very different worlds, which is why we've been married 27 years. It totally works.
Newlyweds.
Yeah, we're newlyweds. He grew up around horses and animals, and it's really what I love so much about him. I grew up around nothing like this. In fact, I'm such a city girl. Probably was afraid of dogs most of my life until I met my husband. So anyway, the fact that I have animals at my house is kind of a miracle. We have 2 pigs, Kevin Bacon and Mocha. We have 6 chickens, a rooster named Henry VIII, and 5 girls, 5 of his hens.
You call golden
The Golden Girls, yes. So we have Sophia, Blanche, Dorothy, and Rose. And then we have Hey Hey, who's named after the character from Moana. So I named the Golden Girls. My 10-year-old named Hey Hey.
Oh.
Kevin Bacon actually came to us named the pig. And then we have 11 goats, which are all named by my 10-year-old. Marshmallow, Muffin, Aunt Hazel, Churro. Like they're all food. But we don't eat our animals, just to be clear. They're just pets. And then we have 4 sheep.
And you have horses too.
And we actually just recently lost our horses. We did have 2. The last time I spoke to you, we did have horses. So we had 2 horses who were maybe 35 years old each. So we were just basically like letting them live out their last horsey years. They were just horses that stood around and were glorious in their day. One was a cutting horse and the other one was a polo pony. Evita came to us with that name. She's not named after Patty. And Little Miss Squatty Body was the other horse. And then we have 4 sheep, a giant tortoise.
Oh, they live forever.
They do. He came with the house, the tortoise did. Oh. So the tortoise is like 25 years old.
Gosh.
And he's the boss. And it's his house. So when we move out, the next owner will have to take over care of Rafi, the tortoise, because it's his house. He's going to live way past all of us. So
one thing that I thought was most amazing is that your mother wasn't a stage mother, but she was always with you in your younger years.
Yes.
And most child stars, if I can say that, didn't have that chaperone.
Right. So my mom was not your typical stage mom. She decided if this was going to work, if I was going to be a little professional, she was going to make sure she was with me every speck of the time. It's not a world that kids belong in my opinion. It's all adults and there's the random kid on set, but you hear things you shouldn't hear. And there were a lot of kids who were basically paying for their families. Like child actors often fund their whole families. And their parents would sometimes have to break up the family, move people out to Los Angeles in order for the child to be an actor. So the kid's the breadwinner often. And that was not the case in my family. I really did it because I wanted to do it. I was the one who was driving it, and my mom supported me every step of the way. Right. I mean, I think she was on set with me every single day until I was like 18. Lots of moms or dads would just drop their kid off at set and say, who will take care of my kid? And they would sometimes sign them up to some random electrician. And my mom would always raise her hand and say, I will be their chaperone for the day. Please sign them over to me. So my mom ended up being like the mom for a bunch of kids. It takes a village to raise a kid. And to raise a kid who's a professional actor from the time they're 7, you couldn't do that without someone like my mom who was there every step of the way supporting me. I think the only thing that she was kind of not supportive of was me leaving to go away to college. She questioned me hard on that because it was really stepping away from a very successful career, which I wanted to do because I knew as a person, I didn't want to do this forever. So I wanted to have a college education. So if I wanted to do something different, I'd have that opportunity. But my mom she really taught me, we had long discussions and I really pushed back on the idea that I needed to stay for my career. But otherwise, my mom was just there supporting me, making sure, like I would go on location. We went to like Prague, we went to, Tennessee. I was all over the place, and she was always there with me to make sure that I was safe.
But no one was prouder than graduation at Yale.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So where did this come from, your ambition to be an actress? Did it come from your grandfather, grandmother, or?
I wish I had a great story as to why I wanted to be an actor, but I literally just wanted to be on television. I wanted to be on Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
That is it. Just like I wanted to go to Yale because Jodie Foster went to Yale. I'm a simple girl. I get these ideas, and they're not big, fancy ideas. They're just simple ideas, and I just want to make them happen.
Yeah.
So that's it. I just wanted to be on television.
Thinking of making things happen, you lost a sister.
I did.
Heather.
Yes.
And you founded a foundation to support this disease.
Yes, lupus.
Tell us about it.
So I think I mentioned I lost my sister when she was 19 years old. She had a pretty undiagnosed case of lupus, and it went on for long enough that it got really bad before we were able to get good solutions. It was one of the worst cases they said they had seen. So it was pretty quick that it was diagnosed and that she passed away. So obviously losing your sister at such a young age is it's one of the biggest traumas that anyone I think could ever suffer. And it's certainly the biggest trauma that I've ever suffered. And I was on ER at the time, like I said. So I needed to do something with my grief that felt creative because I had to get up every day and go do a job. I mean, I literally had to go be on camera. I had to be a doctor, which was crazy. I just spent months in the ICU with my sister with the real doctors. So I ended up becoming the spokesperson for an autoimmune association, which basically, I didn't want to just do lupus because lupus research is aided by all the research that goes along with other autoimmune diseases. So, I had one of my college roommates had scleroderma. I had lots of friends who have had rheumatoid arthritis. So I knew I wanted to do more than just speak for lupus because I felt like we could make a real difference if we combined them all together. So I was a spokesperson for the Autoimmune Association for many years, many years. I went on Good Morning America, The View, like all of that, talking about my experience with autoimmune disease. Then my husband, Yale, they always want your money, as an alum. They come look for you. They're like, come give us money.
That's the hitch.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to do something that felt appropriate and meaningful when we gave money to Yale. So we worked with the Yale School of Medicine, and we actually fund a specific lab that is doing research on lupus. So my husband and I fund the students, the grad students and the fellows who are researching lupus because autoimmune disease is such an under-researched category of disease. And if you can get a student who wants to devote their life to studying autoimmune disease, then you're way ahead of the game. And so that's what we do is we fund students who are studying lupus research at Yale.
One thing to change course, people know you from Hallmark. Mm-hmm. My wife is a big fan of
She's
Hallmark.
A Hallmark junkie?
Yes.
I love it.
And I think most people know Hallmark because it's feel good, not controversial, especially the Christmas shows.
Oh, yes.
Which are wonderful.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about your experience with Hallmark?
So until COVID, I worked for Hallmark for almost 20 years consistently, which no actor ever has that experience. I mean, maybe back in the day when you were a studio gal, you got to work for the same place for 20 years, but this doesn't happen. So Hallmark I think my first job was 2004 with them. I did a show called Mystery Woman. And we did 10 movies for Mystery Woman. I got to direct for the first time, which was very fun. But I was directing myself, which I don't recommend. Then I started doing Christmas movies, rom-coms. It's just been a really wonderful place because I could live my life, go away to, it's usually Vancouver or Toronto, and shoot a movie and then come home and be a mom. So I was pregnant during Mystery Woman. They allowed me to work through all of that. I had a baby just before I did a show called Haley Dean. The thing I loved is that I could just be me and still work as an actor.
Yeah.
And raise my family. I have 2 girls. One's 19 now and the other one's 10 now. So working for Hallmark has been an enormous gift. And they also gave me lots of creativity to, develop. I produced some of the shows that I've done for them and developed the scripts. So I've gotten wonderful opportunities with Hallmark. And it's been a very, very nice place to work. After COVID, I made a decision to kind of step back and just be home. I have a 10-year-old who's a real handful. And my older daughter was kind of just applying to college and kind of in her last years of high school. And I felt really like I needed to be present every single day. Leaving for a month at a time is really hard on my kids.
So we have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Deanne has a question.
Oh, good. Questions from the audience?
Yes.
Yay.
We want to know how you go on having a children, family, husband, and what is the transition from being a Hollywood star to being a homemaker or a farm girl?
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, it's just life. I think I just keep on moving forward. There's so many things I'm interested in. I love being an actor. It's been great. But I was an art history major in college, and I'm writing a book right now. And I volunteer at my kids' school, and I volunteer at the food pantry. There's so many things I'm curious about. I'm really into Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn right now. I'm reading every book I can get my hands on. That's just me. So I feel like transitions are easy if I'm just moving into something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I will say being a mom was not an easy transition. I am not a natural mother. I'm really not. And thank God I married a very maternal husband. My husband, he's just one of those very nurturing people. He really is. He's calm. He's patient.
Well, he had a ranch in Montana.
He's a rancher.
Yeah.
No, he still has a ranch. He's a cattle rancher.
Yeah.
He loves to raise things that are alive.
Right.
Literally, that's what he likes to do. So children are just he loves kids. I never understood children. Babies terrify me. So I just wasn't a natural mom. So I guess with the transition to becoming a mom, it really was eased by my husband because he was very hands-on, thank God. Thank God. I didn't even want to hold the baby. I was I'm afraid I'm going to break this baby.
Yeah.
So,
that's the way I was.
Right? They're scary. So I really feel she's 19 now, my first baby, Maggie. I call her my guru because I feel like she taught me things. She's always teaching me, okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's time to do that. So I've kind of followed her lead in a lot of ways, which has been really interesting. So, but my little one, I can't even tell you, maybe she's just like me, which is why I find her incredibly difficult to mother. She's a handful. And she's really smart. Uh-huh. And she thinks she's smarter than me.
Does she want to be an actress?
No, God, no.
Oh.
But she might be smarter than me at 10 years old. So I have my work cut out for me. She's not even a teenager yet. And I'm like, oh, Lord.
How do you feel about the state of your art, Hollywood, today? Because there are so many ways of distribution. Is it confusing or
Okay, so I am an analog girl. I don't like things that move too fast. I started in 1982 making movies. So that was back, I literally got my first job at MGM with the lions out front, Michael Landon. People wore pancake makeup and there were big giant cameras and it was old school filmmaking. It hadn't changed since Alfred Hitchcock was making films when I started.
Yeah.
So the technological change that has happened is exciting and amazing and all those things. However, I am old school. I really do feel like, yes, there's so much content. There's so many ways to watch things and you can watch things when you want to watch things. And I know my 19-year-old thinks that that's great. I do think there's something to be said for Thursday night at 9:00, sitting down and watching your favorite television show. I like the idea of appointment television because you you turn off everything else and you really pay attention to watching a show. I feel like we multitask now. I fold my laundry while I watch Ted Lasso. I'm bummed by a lot of the technological advances. If I didn't have to have a smartphone, I wouldn't. It's just because I'm a mom. but I'm keeping technology away from my 10-year-old as long as I possibly can. So I'm disappointed in a lot of the advancements. I think there's a lot of amazing things about what we have now. I also don't want everything to be consolidated. I mean, the idea that Warner Brothers is about to get bought by Paramount and those guys really upsets me, because I went to high school at Warner Brothers and I don't want it to change. It's beautiful. And it's this old soundstage, it's this old lot.
Well, I'm fascinated by Warner Brothers because I belong to the Calabasas Country Club, which is the old Warner Ranch, where they filmed so many of the movies that we enjoy as classics.
Yes.
And I walk on that ground like it's hallowed.
It's hallowed ground.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like also, especially Southern California, but California and the United States, like it's really Hollywood, and old Hollywood is something that is so particular to us.
Right.
It's our thing. It's the thing that makes us special.
Absolutely.
And I think it needs to be honored. And I hope that it will be. I just don't know, with all the changes that are happening, if it will continue to be honored. But people like Christopher Nolan and his ilk are really trying to make sure that it is. So hopefully it will continue to be honored in the way, and, made to feel that it is the important art form that, it deserves to be recognized as.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, this is my pleasure.
For sharing your personality.
Super weird life.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.